All right, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Delafield Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, May 10th. If you'd all rise and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Green, if you do a roll call.
Sure. Supervisor, when I say your name, say present. Supervisors Miller.
Present.
Kranick.
Present.
Chairman Troy.
Present.
Thank you.
Citizens comments. Public comments from citizens regarding items on or not on the agenda. The board may not engage in a discussion with the citizen making the comments. Individual presentations are limited to 3 minutes, and the citizens shall follow the rules set forth in section 2.04 sub 1 sub D of the town code. Is there anybody who would like to speak on any topic? Yes, sir. If you'd come forward and give us your name and address.
Want me up there?
Probably. It gets recorded better, and the people at home can better hear you.
Don Spiro Primos. I've lived on Maple Avenue since 1949, all but 8 years. And I remember a lot about Maple Avenue. We used to play baseball on Maple Avenue. There were 13 taverns on Maple Avenue. Buena Vista, anybody ever hear of Buena Vista? Okay, well, why I'm here today is the speeding on Maple Avenue has gotten beyond control, okay? And part of the problem, I believe, is the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit to the south and the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit to the north. That should be reduced to at least 35 miles an hour. The other thing is that that road needs to be patrolled. Now, with all due respect, that I have this hat on for a reason. My son's a cop, okay? Or was a cop.
Sir, you'll have to address the board. You're not allowed to address people in the audience. So you have to address the board.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Nonetheless, what I'm saying is, I don't believe the sheriff's department's your best option to do patrolling for speeding. These guys, their responsibility is from Highway 18, how far north? Highway 60? You've got all these highways going, all the traffic. Maple Avenue needs more patrolling, but I don't think the sheriff, they're understaffed. You need to look elsewhere. And what I was talking about to the engineer, you cannot drive into the village of Heartland without going past a speed board on one street, and that may be Hill Street, but North Avenue, Merton Avenue, all of them, they have, and it's the same thing in the town, in the city of Delafield. And that speed board that the sheriff put up a week ago, all right, I've seen 50 miles an hour on it already, okay? So what I'm asking is, and I've talked to the engineer, and he's telling me we can't lower it below 45 miles an hour because it was designated at one point a 55-mile-an-hour road. And the most you can reduce it is 10 miles an hour. Okay, I'd like to buy that, but then why is it 35 miles an hour over here? None of this makes any sense. And the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit I'm talking about is less than a mile on the south end, and then it's probably a half a mile on the north end between Heartland and North Shore Drive. So I just am very frustrated with the lack of response and the lack of service that we're getting for patrolling and controlling the speeding on Maple Avenue.
Okay. Actually, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. Did you get his address, Dan?
Yeah, I know his address.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else care to speak on any item? If not, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes of the April 26th town board meeting. Take a motion if there's no.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented by the clerk.
I need a second.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Action on vouchers submitted for payments. There are no amendments to either the 21 or 22 budget. So accounts payable and payroll.
I'd like to make a motion for accounts payable to approve the payments of checks 65682 through 65685 and checks 65687 through 65714 in the amount of $153,514.62. And for payroll, a motion to approve the payrolls dated May 13th, 2022 in the amount of $14,222.14.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the accounts payable and payroll as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. There are no communications, and there is no unfinished business. So new business, 9A, discussion and possible action on a sponsorship agreement with Bluebell Realty for scoreboard advertising. This is our baseball field. And our attorney has reviewed all these.
Yes, the attorney drafted these.
Yes, I thought so.
So the scoreboards have been delivered. They're expected to be installed sometime next week, depending on the weather. The agreement was drafted, like I said, by the attorney for two different payment options. Bluebell went with the $7,500 up front for 3 years, and the later agreement was with the Chocolate Factory, and they decided to do a year-to-year basis, but still agreeing to the 3-year terms. So recommendation
Great.
is for approval.
So we're taking them one at a time. The first one's Bluebell.
Separately.
Any comments regarding Bluebell?
No, I mean, if Eric's, the attorneys gone through these, you know. So motion to approve the sponsorship agreement for Bluebell Realty for the scoreboard advertising.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the sponsorship agreement for Bluebell Realty for scoreboard advertising. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on the sponsorship agreement with the Chocolate Factory for scoreboard advertising. Basically, the exact same agreement with a different, only their lump sum payment.
Motion to approve the agreement, the sponsorship agreement with the Chocolate Factory for the scoreboard advertising.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the sponsorship agreement with the Chocolate Factory for scoreboard advertising. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on the approval of bartender licenses for Aaron Frank and Michael Oshner. I believe everything's in order, Dan. Any issues here?
No issues, no criminal history. These are for the Pewaukee Yacht Club. So recommendation is approval.
We're gearing up for a fun time at the yacht club.
Motion to approve the bartender license for Aaron Frank and Michael Oshner for the Pewaukee Yacht Club.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the bartender licenses for Aaron Frank and Michael Oshner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on the recommendation from the Plan Commission to approve the request from John and Kathleen Thomas for a certified survey map to combine parcels into one lot at W288N3312 Lakeside Road.
And I just want to clarify, I think the address should be W283 and 3312 Lakeside Road.
Is it 283, is that correct?
I would agree. That's what's on the application. So, Dan, make that correction.
It's done.
Okay. This is pretty straightforward. We see this frequently on the lake. They're just taking and putting two lots together. Their house is already there. They've owned it for years.
Passed the Plan Commission unanimously.
Oh, yeah.
so,
It's not an issue. We see these all the time.
yeah. Motion to approve the CSM. The date's still May 2nd, right?
Have you had to revise one since then?
Yes, it was sent to the surveyor and I didn't get anything back yet.
Okay.
So it's still with the condition that they have
Technical
to
corrections?
satisfy my staff comments.
Okay. So motion to approve the certified survey map for the Thomases located at W283 and 3312 Lakeside Road, dated May 2nd, 2022, with the condition that any technical corrections are updated.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to approve with conditions. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. So, discussion and possible action on the appointment of David Maholovic to the Board of Appeals as an alternate member with a term beginning May 11th, 2022 and expiring May 10th, 2023. Dave has met with Dan on more than one occasion. He's met with me. We've discussed it in detail. I think he'd make an excellent alternate and eventually move up to be a full member if he has the time. He lives on, you know where he lives.
It was on
West
Glen
Glen
Cove.
Yeah,
Glen
Glen Cove. So,
Motion to appoint David Maholovic to the Board of Appeals as an alternate member with a term beginning May 11th, 2022 and expiring on May 10th, 2023.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint David Maholovic to the Board of Appeals. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on awarding a construction contract for the 2022 road improvement project. Mr. Tim.
All right, this morning we opened bids for the program. We received 2 bids, Wolf Paving at $578,907. Payne and Dolan came in at $687,345 and 50 cents. The budget for this, for the road improvement program is basically $605,000. Out of that, Donnie usually uses about $30,000 for road repairs, shouldering, and other miscellaneous road-related items. And so taking that out, we do have a balance in there of about $575,000. We have a section of the road that's going to be done. The roads that are going to be done are Imperial Drive. That'll be pulverized and paved with a new 4-inch asphalt. We're going to do some work on Prairie Wind Circle North, Prairie Wind Circle South, and there's 2 cul-de-sacs in that subdivision area, Highland Court and what's that other one? I can't think of it right off the top of my head. I'll get it for you. Farm Valley Court. And then we're going to be doing Elmhurst Drive. That'll be a 2-inch mill and then a 2-inch overlay on that. So that's not going to change much. Drainage will remain the same. And then finally, we have Bryn Drive where we do pulverizing and paving. And so depending on where we're at with the budget, when all the other ones are done, then we'll determine how far we can go on Bryn Drive. And that we'll make sure that we're within the budget when we do Bryn Drive. If we have some savings in some of the other roads that we do, then we could extend Bryn Drive a little further. It's just going to depend on how much we can do. We're going to ask that the contractor do Bryn Drive last, so we can, because this is like the middle section of Bryn Drive. We've kind of done the northern section a few years ago. Now we're doing the middle section, and then I believe I think it's next year we're going to do the last section, which would be a pretty substantial section of that. We appreciate being allowed to ask for for approval tonight, because by the time we get contracts, we'll get the contracts out and signed. Probably mid-June, we'll have it ready to go for the contractor to start. We gave them 75 days, which means the completion of the projects will be near the end of summer, end of August, I would say, on that. We got good prices from Wolf, surprisingly good, I would say. They are still about 30 to 35%, just the asphalt is 30 to 35% higher than last year. Interestingly enough, I went back and looked at 2020 and 2019, and those prices were actually higher than they were last year. Last year we got excellent pricing from Payne and Dolan. So the pricing that I've seen around, these are good bid prices for the asphalt and for the other work that they're doing. So I'm very pleased that the bids came in where they did on that. And I'm recommending that you award the contract to the low bidder, Wolf Paving, in the amount of $578,907.
So there's no escalators in there for oil price changes or inflation? It's a
Nope.
firm
It's firm.
contract price?
It is firm, yep.
Okay. Did we ever come to Any kind of agreement with the residents of Elmhurst for that water control? Did anybody volunteer to take
No one volunteered. I spoke with Mrs. Graham, where the place where we met, and I had talked to her last fall about potentially extending a pipe from the kind of a low area down to the lake. You know, we would probably bore that and then let it go out to the lake. It would have to go on her property.
Yes.
And so she was kind of leaning that way, but she wanted to talk to her kids a little bit. And at the end of the day, when we had to start getting the bid out in the spring, I talked to her a couple more times, and she decided she just didn't want to do it. She didn't want anything on her property. And
all
so,
right.
so that was out. There's been some other residents on the road that have just said, you know, we're good with just taking off 2 inches and putting back on. Just leave the drainage the way it is, and they're fine with it. So I think the person that was really concerned about the drainage was Mrs. Graham and her neighbor.
Her neighbor was, yeah.
And those now that she has said, no, we're just gonna go back to just doing the 2 inch.
Okay.
And
It's
they'll
up to
get a
them.
nice looking road, and we're gonna take down a couple of trees along there that are very close to the road. Donnie's working on, he probably won't take them down. Someone will probably take them down, and then Donnie's crew will cut them up on that. But that's the only, I would say, major improvement to that. If we see a couple of spots that we can fix a little bit, we'll do that as far as drainage, but we don't want to change the drainage too much, because we don't want to push water to someone else that never had it before. So we're trying to be very careful about that.
It's just some of the people's garages are below the road. And,
They are.
yeah,
So we can do a little bit with a little raised asphalt curb that you see in some of the other places. They do have some of that out there. So if we see it out there, we're gonna replace it just as it is.
sure.
It's just with new asphalt, so it'll last a long time.
Do they all understand that they're gonna get just what's out there, that we're not gonna be putting stormwater or anything else? And I just wanna make sure
I'm gonna-
that nobody comes back, you know, after the fact and
We've
says,
met with them, we've
Yeah.
explained it to them, we've offered them a dozen solutions or half a dozen solutions, and they just can't agree on anything, so.
it's
And so-
understandable.
We've put it off now, this is 3 years?
Or for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the intent is to send them a letter about the project once we know the schedule, and then we'll notify them of what's gonna go on,
Okay.
and so.
And
AJ lives in there.
just to confirm, you're sending letters to every
We do,
resident on all
we give
roads,
letters to
correct?
everybody,
Okay.
but I mean, once we get the schedule, we get letters out to all the residents
Yeah,
on that.
okay.
So,
I'll make a motion that we award our 2022 road improvement program to the low bidder, Wolf Paving, in the amount of $578,907.00.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to award the paving contract to Wolf Paving for the amount stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Tim, for the presentation. Announcements and planning items. The next town board is May 24th at 6:30. Plan Commission is June 7th at 6:30. And then we have, again,
I think that there's going to be a joint hearing with the county for a rezoning on a property at the east end of Sylvan Trail.
I believe it's a land use amendment, a county land use amendment.
It's a rezoning too.
Okay, it might be both, okay.
So we will need a board attendance at that June 7th meeting to get a quorum of the board. Because we have joint meetings,
that's, okay.
okay, just to let, I guess.
Well, that's, so we need one more person.
These guys will be here because they're on the planning commission, so we just need.
So that's a joint.
One other board member to be there.
Here.
And the county will be at that one too. Assuming that it gets set up, if I haven't gotten the notice yet from that, but it's still,
They still have time,
it's
so.
a little, yeah, they have still a little bit of time.
We'll get an additional board member there. And then the final item, during the summer, we're going to one board meeting a month, June, July, and August. I believe it's the first Monday in June, or first Tuesday rather in June. I forget what July and August are.
I believe it's the 1st in June and then the 2nd in July and August.
Yeah, 1st in June, 2nd in July and August.
June would be June 7th.
June 14th.
14th, town board.
Town board,
Well, the first.
first Tuesday. I mean, the first town board meeting, it's the second Tuesday.
Yeah.
At 6:30. Any other issues, comments? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion and a pending second.
A second.
I got a second. So, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks.
Thank you.
No problem. So with Maple Avenue, the speed trailer was put out there on May 5th.